I think we'll just wait for some attendees to come into the room. I still see participant numbers growing pretty rapidly, so I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes until there's a noticeable plateau. Okay, we're at 80 participants, which as any veteran board member or association member knows is really good for us. We decided last spring that the online forum for board meetings was really superior than meeting in person. So we're actually glad we get to welcome you to our first board community meeting this year online, because we get to reach so many more of you. My name is Courtney Morris. I am the board president of the Board of Governors here at AES. And I am going to speak very quickly tonight, just introducing my colleagues on the board, making a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to hand over the program to our new school director, Andy Torres, who I want to welcome with a very happy heart. He and Nada in her new position as deputy director, and all of the leadership team here that is on the call tonight. I hope you can see some of their faces if you flip through. They have been working so hard this summer to get us where we are today. So the first thing I want to do is extend a welcome and a thank you to the whole team, which has some people returning and some new people. But the skill with which they've come together and collaborated has really been remarkable. I just want to say that it's obvious we're in a very traumatic time. We're in a time when we can't do what we normally do in our lives. And while so many communities across the world have been affected horribly, I think all of us in this community know that school children have been affected hugely by not being able to be on campus, be with their friends, be in the presence of their teachers, in their classrooms. I worry about my children's education and educational future, as I know you are. But I want to say that I really have faith in the school's leadership, watching them work over the summer to really hone in on making Connected Campus better, taking your comments and trying to make it as good of a virtual program as possible. And also making sure that when we do get back to campus, and we don't know when that's going to be yet, but when we do get there, that it's as safe an environment as possible. Nada Collins, our deputy director, has been on the ground all summer, working very closely with our facilities team to put in so many improvements and puzzle through, different things to figure out how to make our campus safe. And so all of that is moving forward. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us and for staying with us and for, keeping AES the strong community that it is. I'm just going to do a few things tonight, but the first thing I'd like to do is introduce my colleagues on the board. So there we are. I am not responsible for putting that lovely slide together, but somebody is. And so I'm going to go across that top row And then we'll go just across the bottom row. Governors, why don't we do it that way to make it simple? So Peter, if all of you could please say it's there obviously what your officer position is, but say your officer position and your committee work and the other work you do on the board when you introduce yourselves. Thanks.
Thanks, Courtney. So good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Ree. I'm the Vice President of the board. I've been spending the last year or so with my colleagues, Swati and Jitu, on the strategic plan that Andy will be sharing with you tonight. I'll probably be spending a little bit of time this year making sure that that strategic plan is successfully implemented, as well as the audit chair, I'll be looking after managing risk for the school. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Cook, and I'm starting my 3rd year on the board as treasurer and chair of the finance committee, and I also serve as a member of the audit committee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lina Winyi. I have 2 middle schoolers and a 4th grader here at AES. This is my 2nd year on the board, and I will be continuing my role as the chair of the Environment and Facilities Committee, which will majorly focus on master planning for our campus this year. I am also the current board secretary.
Swati?
Are you there? Are you there?
Well, Swati's.
Sorry, I thought it was Adele. Hi, I'm Swati Vasudevan, and I have a high schooler who's a senior this year. I've been on the board for the last 2 years. This would be my 3rd year. I have served as the vice chair on the board, the chair on the EFC, Environmental Facilities Committee, and also a member on the Environment Facilities Committee last year, along with being on the Strategic Planning Task Force along with Jitu and Peter. This year I'll be a member at large.
Hi all, I'm Jitu Balakrishnan. My daughter is a junior this year. She's been at AES since 1st grade. I've been on the board for 3 years. That photo was clearly taken pre-COVID times when my hair was much shorter. We've been, I've been working on, I was the board secretary last year and worked with Peter, Swati, and the administration on the strategic plan. This year, as a member of at large, I will be working again with Andy and his team on making sure that elements of the strategic plan actually are implemented. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Adele Gillen. I am a member at large and the chair of the policy committee. This is my 2nd year on the board and my 3rd year at AES. I have a 6th grader, 5th grader, and a 1st grader. And I'm here in India as part of the US Embassy community.
Hi, I'm Edgard Kagan, and I'm the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy. I'm one of the ambassadors, 2 representatives on the board. The other has not been appointed yet, or rather the previous one left and the replacement has been appointed. I have 3 children at the school. My wife, Cindy, and I have 3 children at the school, a 12th grader, a 10th grader, and an 8th grader. And this is my 5th school board. So I'm a recidivist and have still not learned wisdom. But I must say that it is a tremendous pleasure and honor to serve on this board, and this is a very good team. And the embassy takes very seriously our role with the school, and we look forward to working very closely with a new director. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Edgard, and all governors. I appreciate your introduction. Let me just say quickly, I promised at the PSA meeting I would tell you what we do and what we don't do. And I think it's important for the entire community to know that. You'll see all of us up here tonight as panelists, the entire leadership team and the entire Board of Governors. And that should really signal to you the importance of the partnership between governance and leadership at the school. It means a lot to all of us, And we are working very hard to make sure that in this particularly difficult time, we are staying in touch and sharing information and helping make decisions together. That said, the board does not make day-to-day decisions at the school. That is Andy's job, that is Nada's job, and all of the team members on the leadership team. What we do is set strategy for the school. And I really want to commend Swati, Jitu, and Peter, who pushed through our strategic plan last year, and it is now absolutely a foundation of the work that we're doing. Everything we talk about, we slot into one of our strategic priorities or goals. And that's really what boards are supposed to be doing. The other important thing we do is we offer ultimate oversight over the fiduciary rather, the sort of economic health of the school, right? We approve the budget, and we make sure that the school is solvent and has enough money to support the programs we have and to support our programming in the future. So that's really our role. We represent the association in these very important matters, and we will do that to the best of our ability again this year. Also, to help us on the board, every year we have honorary board members. We typically have faculty representatives, a student representative, and a representative from the PSA. I have alerted the board of who those people are. I'm going to read their names again, and as a formality, we are going to vote them onto the board as honorary board members now. The faculty representatives are going to be the same three fantastic representatives we had last year: Wendy Geyer, Ben Strever, and Megan Vosk. So I would like to make a motion to vote the three faculty members onto the board as honorary board members. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor? Great. And I will move now to the PSA representative. That person tonight is, we have with us Jenny Baton, I believe. She is the acting vice president of the PSA. As you know, the PSA is taking more time to create their executive board this year, but Jenny will stand in until the the permanent representative can join us. So I'd like to make a motion to have the PSA representative tonight, Jenny Baton, also be voted onto the board as an honorary board member. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. And all those in favor? Great. Finally, we have a new student representative this year. His name is Nicholas Mazon. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. He's 11th grader. He was on class council last year, and he is on the executive council this year, and says he's very interested to learn about governance. I hope we're going to set a good example. And so we're really excited to have him as well. I'm going to make a motion now to have him join us as the final honorary board member. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
And all those in favor? Yeah, great. The final vote is for the approval of our minutes from May, our spring association meeting. Technically, these would be approved in November. However, it was a very important meeting. It was the meeting when we kind of laid out what we were going to be doing in terms of virtual learning and the closure of our campus. So we want to make those minutes available as soon as possible. So I would like to have a second, make a motion to approve those. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Perfect. My last order of business is to let you know that you are really important to our governance as well. We always have association volunteers every year, and we would like to invite you to send in, it's not really an application, but a little bit about yourself to the board and the leadership team to serve on the Environment and Facilities Committee, that's the EFC committee, and also the Policy Committee. You will see in the Tiger Tails tomorrow night the way to do that. It is so important to us to hear faculty and parent voice in the decisions that we make, and this is one very good way of doing that. So please do express your interest through the Tiger Tails tomorrow night, and we will come back to you with any needs that we might have on volunteerism. Thank you so much again for joining us tonight, and I'm going to turn the program over now to Andy Torres.
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning from Oregon. Good evening for all of you in New Delhi and all over the world. Hope this finds you well. In these important times, that trite phrase of finding you well means a whole lot more, I think. Our health and wellness has all of a sudden become a very important part of the things we do. I'm going to walk through several slides here this evening to talk to you a little bit about the work that my team, in collaboration with our partners, with the Board of Governors, are doing to ensure that our school is providing a safe place for your children to return to, certainly, and to continue the pursuit of excellence that we have been founded upon as the custodians of the mission of the school. But ultimately, as Courtney has already said, and G2 has mentioned as well, we have a strategic plan in front of us that's been structured around these three key areas of outstanding learning, institutional strength, and risk management. And some very, very clear black and white goals that we are going to be driving forward in our work over the next 3 academic years. The board and the community collaborated to put together what I think is a well-structured set of target goals in which we can look at the next steps for AES as it develops and grows and improves the programs moving forward. As you can see, the program is structured out for this year and the following 3 academic years. And the light gray are the areas where there's planning. The darker gray areas are where there is action and implementation. And so as we move forward through these multiple steps and goals, you can see that we are going to be working on teaching and learning systems, experiential and service learning. We're going to be targeting growth in our basic skills, reading and math and language, writing. Using data is a very key piece for our organization. And ultimately, also creating structures to have AES get ready to redevelop, refine, and reorganize its learning practices moving forward into the next many years. Also, the board's targeted their own governance as a key piece to continue to develop. We are going to be looking at the recruitment and retention of our high quality and amazing teachers, faculty, and staff. And as mentioned before, we're also looking at our facilities. Master planning is under process right now, and we're looking at our floor area ratios and maximizing the ultimate use of our facilities for the betterment of our children. And then finally, under risk management, a comprehensive plan around developing risk management planning, looking at our enrollment and growth. You'll hear a little bit about that from our team tonight. Stabilizing our finances and using the money to the best of ability possible to enhance education for our students, looking at other options for income for our school, and ultimately, and a big one for us is our renewal of our lease for our campus moving forward. These are the key areas and the ways that we're going to be moving forward. And as you can see, again, the light gray, the darker gray, and the dark gray will be part of our jobs over these next many academic years. And I can tell you that as I came on board as the new director, I said many times to the board members involved that I felt supported, and there was a clear direction as to where we were going to be going with our next steps in the development and creation of AES into the future. One of the things that many people have asked us about, and I wrote about this in last week's Tiger Tales, is around our plans for reopening. And I wanted to reiterate my points, as I said last week. We are all, every one of us, every single member of my team, all of my teachers, every person on campus is very, very anxious and want our children back in our school. We all believe, I think, like parents at home, and I'm one too, that our children have a much more vibrant and effective experience learning under the guidance of talented teachers in classrooms. At the same time, we also realize that, as Courtney mentioned, this is a difficult time. We need to keep the safety of our children, the health of our children at the forefront of our minds at all times. It has to be our #1 priority. And so ultimately, we have to figure out how we are going to bring children back to campus, manage physical and social distancing, keep our campus safe and clean, and have procedures in place to make sure that if there is an emergency of some sort, that we are prepared and have the protocols in place to deal with those concerns. So we are moving through 3 key steps here. The first and the most important one for us is the preparation for a hybrid learning model, in which we're probably not going to be able to have all of our students back on campus at the same time. The space does not allow that. And so we have to design systems and procedures to have a hybrid learning model. And what that means in hybrid learning model terms is that some students in our school programs are in classrooms working directly with their teachers, while the other parts of our student community are not on campus, and they're at home, but also learning in the systems that we have in place. And then in certain days or times, the students will swap, and some students will go home and some students will come to school. We have to maintain that program, but also balancing out that the learning processes have some continuity. We don't want to just simply split our program in 50-50 halves, and then the kids who go home don't do anything for those days that they're at home. That doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for you. So there is certainly a science and an art to putting those programs together. You'll hear a little bit about that tonight. But as we move forward in the next week or so, we will be bringing more information about the specifics of how what hybrid learning will look like. But also, and I think most importantly, and many parents are concerned about this, they want to know what the campus structures are. What does the classroom look like? How do people come onto our school campus? How do you move to one place to the other? What does food services look like? What does transportation look like? Is on many people's minds. I do believe that you're aware, but I want to reiterate, the educators and the board are not just relying on each other and doing a lot of inward looking. We are looking at educational models around the world. We collaborate with our colleagues in the NISA region and through the State Department supported organizations. We are also collaborating with International SOS and the United States CDC representatives that are on the ground in New Delhi as well. These important partners inform us and guide us in our decision making. The people on my team, most of them are not trained as community health experts. This has been thrust upon us essentially, and we have learned a lot. But at the same time, we also realize there's a lot to learn. And so we are tapping into the expertise that is available to us and working with these partners as we move forward. We have developed a matrices of decision-making, and we are collaborating closely with our board member partners as we move forward to make these decisions on this. What we know right now is that our facilities management team has done a tremendous job, and you'll see some information tonight about what we've done to our campus, adapted our classroom environments, modified our healthcare offices, adapted our bathrooms, and added hand sanitization stations all over the campus. We have put together and will be presenting to you a comprehensive webinar, and also providing you a printed media that will provide you with details about our adaptations to our campus and to our programs here in the next week to 10 days. And we will be giving families the option as we move forward to choose to stay home if you wish. We feel like this is an important family decision. We have to respect that, and we are prepared for a time to continue to deliver both hybrid and fully online. We'll also continue to monitor official announcements. We have not, as I woke up very early this morning in the United States, at least I'm not aware of, and it could have happened while I was sleeping. I'm not aware of any official announcements from the local government. But at the same time, we'll be collaborating with the Board of Governors and my leadership team closely, obviously, to make some assessments based on what we know on the ground on the campus at AES. As we move forward, I want to make sure that you as parents understand that we see ourselves as your partner in this process. If you have a concern or a question, I urge you to reach out, to continue to engage with the mini webinars, the back to school nights that my team is putting together, and understand that we want to know what your concerns are. I have a sort of a mantra that I follow as I move through my work, and that is never worry alone. I worry with my team. I worry with my board member partners. I want to make sure that if you have concerns, if you have worries, don't sit on them. Don't vent about them. Find an answer, and we are here to help. So reach out, send us an email, make contact via phone. We are most interested in hearing what you have to say and providing you some direct feedback as fast as we possibly can. It is part of what we do. This process, this key piece of pursuit, the joyful pursuit of excellence, does not end because we are in the pandemic. We are looking forward. We are thinking strategically. And I hope that you hear that in my team today. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague and our new elementary school principal, Charles Bellamy. And Charles is going to talk about the joyful beginnings at the elementary school. Charles.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you, board, for the opportunity to get in front of the community tonight and brag a little bit about the great job that I feel the elementary school staff has done in creating and having a joyous beginning to this school year. Our Connected Campus Learning Program is alive and well. During our webinars before school opened, you heard me talk a lot about focusing on connections, how that's how we would spend the first weeks of school. And I feel like we've done a really great job of that. Students have multiple opportunities across time zones to connect with peers, to connect with teachers. I think we've done a really great job of the time zone equity and ensuring that those students, no matter where they are, have the ability to make those social emotional connections with teachers and peers. We have launched our launch pads in the My AES space where, again, that was our approach to trying to streamline information, give parents one place to go to find the information about the Connected Campus Learning Program at each individual grade level, but with consistency through grade levels. We continue to try to be flexible, whether that's through learning support or through one-on-one times and parents having the opportunity to choose those times to some degree, and also providing multiple opportunities for class meetings. we started, and again, during the webinars, I talked about us ramping up, starting with that social emotional connection, establishing relationships, helping students learn the tools and the way virtual learning would go, so that when we began to integrate and introduce more rigorous academic content, they would be comfortable and ready to be successful. That's coming this week. You'll begin to see more of the academic, more of the seesaw type assignments. But again, I think that we've had a really great start to the year, and that is 100%. I want to give credit to the amazing teachers and staff in the elementary and the effort they've put forward in servicing our community and the cooperation and collaboration we've had from parents. So thank you.
Next up is Anthea Clifton. Anthea is our middle school principal. Anthea?
Mike, Anthea.
Don't mind me, I struggle with the muting and unmuting. It's a skill. Thank you, Andy. I'm following on from Charles. I just want to say thank you and recognize the efforts and the commitment of our middle school faculty and staff. I just am so privileged to work with a group of people that have put in hours and gone well above what typically teachers and staff would do, out of just the concern that children feel welcomed and are able to learn. So to them, I say thank you. I also say thank you to students and parents. We talked about resilience and being resilient and resourceful at the beginning of the year, and no year is ever perfect at the beginning. And we had students, they were able to find email links and they reached out to us and we were able to help them. And to parents, a serious thank you, because I don't think any year other than this year I've had so many messages to say thank you to the faculty. And that really is such a great thing at this point, to just say, look, you know, it's okay. It was a little glitch, but thank you anyway. So that goes a long way to actually reinforcing that caring community. So again, building relationships in the middle school was a key thing in the first couple of weeks, and advisory was a place to start getting everybody organized and connecting, and you can see smiling faces there on the page. But it was an excellent way, and we continue to do that with students, and we have times outside of India too for kids to connect. I think our next slide we have, these are my reminders. Again, similar to the elementary school, we started the year off making sure that students could connect and use the technology. And while many people are familiar with these things, you can see that there were a number of areas, subjects in the middle school that took the lead on making sure that students could connect. It doesn't mean they have to be proficient, but in the context of learning, they had them introduce themselves on a Google slide, or starting to learn how to file all those emails so you aren't bombarded every day with a whole bunch of notifications. So we want to make sure that technology is not getting in the way, and it's important for accessing the learning. And then on our next slide, we continued from last year. For those of you that were with us, students had access to the student website. We've expanded that a little bit, similar again to the elementary school, with a site that also allows parents just a little more access and sort of overview as to what's happening. And many parents have appreciated just being able to get a general idea and being able to help organize their child's week. And so we'll continue with that. And then moving on, thank you, Andy. There's still plenty of things that we can be working on. We start simple, we start small, and then once we get everyone in, we start to refine some of these systems. And we've begun our new student lunches to connect students with ambassadors. We're going to have a learning hub that will allow students to connect for learning and social reasons. And then we're also connecting with new faculty to make sure that they are getting what they need, because it's a pretty tough time for them as well. And above all, we're working on what it looks like when we come back to campus, which hopefully won't be too far away. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthea. Next up is our high school principal, Iftikhar Saeed. Mr. Saeed.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you to all the Board of Governors members for inviting us and allowing us to share some of the success we have had in high school. As always, I tell my students that every challenge could be an opportunity depending on how you look at it. And that's exactly what happened for us in high school and for all the schools for that matter. So we took a challenge of starting our school for the first time in anybody's life and took it as an opportunity to really reimagine and re-envision what we do, why we do what we do, and how we do it. And that was evident in the planning and excitement of the team that I put together through the month of July. Many faculty members came in virtually and planned the first 8 days in high school by making sure that our social emotional health and well-being of our students and faculty is at the topmost priority for all of us. And what I have heard, what I have seen in many notes and emails from parents and faculty and students, that it has been a big success for the high school students. Almost 99% of the students in high school checked in the first week, within actually the first 3 days. Every single high school students had a one-to-one individual personal goal setting meeting with one of their time zone teachers within the first 8 days of school. And I was counting that, it took somewhere around 125 hours of individual conferencing for our students to meet each of those students individually. As you already know, our counselors are having one-to-one meeting. Ms. Mack is meeting with the 9th graders, as our academic university counselors are meeting with the 12th graders at the moment. I just saw an email yesterday from the 3 counselors to all the 11th grade students and parents, asking them to choose their time for their individual meeting. And that's how we wanted to do it. That's how we wanted to start the school year. As you know, if you are gonna do a sprint, you need to warm up well, otherwise you might risk an injury. And we wanted to avoid any injury as we start the school year, and it's gonna be a long 9-10 months for our students. It's gonna be different, and we wanted to make sure that we have all the building blocks in place so that we maximize the time we have in whatever form, whether it's online or hybrid. We give the tools and the skills and the understanding and the mindset to our students to be successful in this environment. Our EC and CC are hard at work in making sure that they are offering events and activities for their fellow students. They have some wonderful events that happened last Wednesday, and they'll be doing for more. And with anything, we keep reminding ourselves, our students, our faculty, as well as the parents, we're gonna start slow to go fast, and that's what's happening right now in high school and all over the AES. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Next up is my colleague, Dr. Shirley Drosy, our Director for the Office of Teaching and Learning. Shirley.
Thank you, Andy. And hello, everyone. So very nice to see so many people here tonight. And I think what you have just heard from the principals is the fruits of what we've worked on since June. Andy asked me and the principals to really work together since June to get consistency going across the divisions, to really pay attention to feedback we had from the spring, and to look at what the professional agencies are telling us that kids need and what good online programs are. So just know that through that work in collaboration with us 4, as well as division principals working with their teachers and their assistant principals, and then taking it back to the leadership team to really be intentional about working on making clarity for what the programs are like, how we communicate them, responding to teacher and student needs for online learning, and then to provide a variety of professional development opportunities, both this summer and in our early days before students started, and then of course going on into the school year. So just know that there's a lot of thought and effort that has gone into that from the faculty and the principals and the leadership team. Real collaboration. And the next slide, Andy. So just so it kind of captures a lot of what I've just said, we really, as a leadership team, we landed on 5 big priorities, taking a look at building trust and comfort for children in their classroom settings at the beginning of the school year, so that kids can rely on one another and the teachers for moving forward the way they need to, for really taking a look at what good teaching is, what good assessment is, what good feedback is, leveraging the best, using our time the best in synchronous and asynchronous times online, and then really trying to nurture children's learners' independence and giving them agency on finding ways to help themselves with their learning and to lean into the supports they need to. So just know that a lot of that work that you're hearing about and seeing with your children really came from leaning into research groups, webinars, articles, networking with other schools and groups that are all in this work together, and that will only continue this year as we take a look at keeping the program strong, both in the online environment, in the hybrid environment, and then hopefully leading up to being all back on campus too. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being partners with us in making this a successful year.
Thank you, Shirley. It is my pleasure to introduce to you David Landis. David is our new Director for Student Support Services, and he joins us from the state of Georgia. David, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. I just want to say what an honor it is to be here at this meeting. Thank you to the Board of Governors for inviting me to participate and share with you a little bit about what Student Support Services is doing, particularly this year in this online environment in the Connected Campus program. As you can see on the first slide I put together, we are in our 2nd year of implementing what's called a multiple tiered systems of support approach to offering student support services to students. I don't want to go into too much detail about that at this meeting, but what I do want to highlight is that the idea of MTSS suggests that at Tier 1 interventions, all students benefit from the expertise of learning specialists, from the expertise of our English as an additional language teachers, and from the expertise of our counselors. And so that means in this particular year, as we're gearing up for the Connected Campus program, to pick up on Iftikhar's metaphor, I think we've been stretching and warming up for a long time behind the scenes prior to the opening of school. Our counselors met early and began talking about how we could really intentionally build community. Our learning support teachers have been hard at work reviewing files and engaging with faculty and co-teaching and co-planning. And the same is true of our EAL teachers. So can you go on to the next slide there, Andy?
You bet.
In big letters here is SEL, social emotional learning. I think for student support services, that was our primary focus. You've heard that echoed from every principal who's presented thus far, that this idea of building community and creating a real sense of belonging and connectedness with our students was our top priority. And we've done that in a very, very intentional way. We are, seeking the Zoom equivalent of what happens in a classroom in a school setting. We know that Zoom meetings don't substitute for being on campus in person, but that is our aspiration, and we're taking every opportunity that we can to accomplish that. So, our counselors have been meeting one-on-one with students, getting to know the community. Many of them are new as well. They've also worked with faculty to plan SEL programming for the first few weeks. You heard about that from our principals. That is the collaborative work of the Student Support Services team and the faculty with the leadership of the principals and the leadership team. So Andy, can you take me to the next slide? You know, and finally, I just want to highlight what Student Support Services encompasses at AES. It includes the EAL program, the Learning Support Program, as well as the counseling. I'm really excited about the work that we're doing in the English as Additional Language program. We are continuing to refine our co-teaching model. We are developing some new some beginner programs for students who are new to AES, who are also beginners in their English language acquisition. We've had additional one-on-one and small group sessions beyond the co-teaching model, really trying to make sure that our English language learners are connected and getting the support that they need. And we're really intentional about celebrating, you know, home language, social gatherings. We've done EAL lunches and so forth. Learning support, many of the same themes. We're really driving that co-teaching model. Our learning support teachers have been working with faculty to plan delivery of curriculum. So, you know, I'm really excited about all of that great work. Looking ahead, we're going to be partnering with Sean Truman and developing some consulting groups to help support our counselors. We're going to partner with Pathways to Inclusive Education to continue to work this MTSS model. And we're really, one of the things I'm really intentional about, I want to develop this idea of cross-divisional learning communities with our counselors, EAL teachers, and learning support people. So that's a little bit about the exciting things happening at AES under Student Support Services. Thank you for an opportunity to share.
Thank you, David. Next up is our Director of Activities and Athletics, Rick Nelson. Rick, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Well, good morning, everybody, or good evening. I'm actually, like Andy, back in the States, up in the mountains of Wyoming. Excited to get back and get to work. Thank you for the opportunity, Board of Governors and community, for the chance to kind of address a really important topic for all of you as parents and for students. That's kind of the other half of our school day, the co-curriculars. That's that area of athletics and activities and powerful service experiences, those things that are all part of our mission statement. And we know for sure this is a really important part for our students. We know also for us, it was probably a significant part for all of us as learners. Those experiences that tend to leave a memory that lasts a lifetime. So I'm here to address that this morning. This has been a very unique 5 months, I gotta say. There's been tremendous disappointment and sadness and all those things that come with cancellation. We had students that trained and prepared for track and field and swimming in the middle school and softball, speech and debate, that their events were canceled last spring. And we're hitting that same reality starting this year, where what we can do and can't do is difficult. But that said, our program is guided by some powerful goals. We know that through our program, we can address things like personal and social responsibility, building up strong self-esteem, gaining those excellent skills we get from participating, whether it's on a stage as a musician or an actor or a team member on a basketball team. All those life skills that are so important can still happen. And that's what our goal is as we move forward. Our number one goal throughout this, though, is health and safety. And it's already been mentioned, we need to follow the best practices and guidelines possible. And so the last 5 months, I've been pretty busy with my team looking at those sorts of guidelines and protections that will make sure that our programs are safe for our kids. We've done that through a variety of methods. One is we've been looking at international organizations like the Aspen Institute of Project Play, the Australian Institute of Sport, the American Red Cross and their aquatics programs, the CDC, amongst many others. Along with that, we've been working collaboratively with our partners in our other international schools, both within our MESAC League, which is that region of the world where we participate with UAE and Doha and Muscat. Also our colleague schools in India in Chennai and Mumbai. So together we've been working on what can we do to make sure that our health and safety goals are met, but also still meet those important goals for youth development. So where we're at right now is that our concerns are a couple. One is that as we move towards hybrid and think about what's possible, we also need to think about what those guidelines are for safe participation. So obviously things that are close contact, things that are going to, wrestling, for example, that's difficult to pull off right away, face to face. But there are things we can do for sure. The other concern of ours as we look at our online connected campus program is how much screen time do we want to give our kids? What's the fine balance of so much time on screen and how much time that we have really engaged in meaningful activities? So that's the challenge for sure as we move forward. So in the elementary, we have our strong iPod program. I know many of you as elementary parents, this is a really important part of your day and your kids' day. So we're moving ahead with that cautiously and appropriately, given that concern about screen time. So we hope in September to offer about 2 to 3 mini sessions leading up to our December holiday break. Not the typical longer many week session, but probably 3 or 4 weeks max, where kids can sign up for an activity a week and connect with those real important teachers and facilitators of learning after school. So we're developing that right now, and she has some strong dates for that in the next week. The same is true with middle school, where our after school activities program is getting off the ground later this month. Kids will have a chance to sign up for virtual online after school activities this first quarter. And we're planning to run 2 sessions between now and December. I would say with all of these that it all kind of depends how things develop and how things flow, and without putting pressure on classroom teachers, what we can do on campus eventually. So we're monitoring that. It's very fluid. Our hope is to have that real in-person contact when we can, when it's safe. But for now, we'll start those programs online. Along with that, with the middle school, I meet weekly with my colleagues in Chennai and Mumbai, and we're putting together really exciting opportunities for online collaborative pieces this fall. One is in the area of esports, which is very big for many of your kids. If you're a middle school parent or high school parent, esports will be a program where the 3 schools are collaborating around a common game that's safe and healthy. They can work together on that. Another one is a model after our high school academic games program, where kids will have the quiz bowl type experience, joining together in small teams and then having a quiz bowl experience throughout the fall. And the third one I'm really excited about, we're developing a leadership institute for our middle school students, where 3 schools together will have kids coming together around leadership topics and themes that are common to all kids and communities, and they can explore these together. So one of our goals with ASIAC and our MESAC program is to try to provide not only a coming together, but a chance for kids to collaborate and work together, whether it's the competitive nature of sports or whether it's just getting to know new people and friends from other places. So that's the middle school. In the high school, we will be getting going in the next week with a mailer on activities for high school students. They can involve with clubs. These range from our really strong service clubs that many of our kids connect with and are involved with, to academic clubs, to our honor societies, to our sports clubs where it's appropriate. But again, we're starting online with these, and we'll move into face-to-face when we can. A challenging topic is MESAC, where we start to cross borders. And our MESAC schools, some of them going through much more difficult times even than our school in Delhi, are being kind of dictated by their ministries of education. So in some cases, extracurriculars are not even allowed yet in the schools, even in an online setting. So it's challenging that way to plan and work things out, but we are planning some things. We did both with our middle school and our high school have to cancel our direct person-to-person contact activities for this first season. But we are going to pull off one event. That's our academic games, and I'm really excited about this, where the kids from our 6 schools will be coming together for a season of academic games, where they'll have kind of dual scrimmages every week. Then a final MESAC event, we'll have all 6 schools together in a virtual format to run our academic games program. From there, our ADs are working. We meet almost every week, planning on what could this look like beyond January 1st. So we're hopeful we can kind of make up those activities as we go into second semester, and kids who are involved with our first season sports like swimming or volleyball will still get that opportunity down the road, but again, in a safe way, kind of following guidelines that will make it work. I will make one note, which I'm hopeful for with MESAC, and I know we've talked about this before, but diplomatic initiatives and things that are happening are real positive for our MESAC lead, especially for our Israeli community now with the UAE, and that development will hopefully solve some of our problems we've had and making opportunities for all of our kids happen. So I just talked to my MESAC colleagues the other day, and we're very excited that this may make life a little easier for us as we plan forward. The final thing is we do have an adult education program for all adults. We will offer 2 semesters of adult learning. I just saw the list of activities planned. Our first session will be an online opportunity. Again, not face-to-face, but there'll be some great opportunities to learn, engage, to do Zumba, to learn language. All these things that for our adult community will be available too. And that information is coming out shortly of how to register for that, those opportunities. So the one thing, last note I'm going to make is that we are planning a webinar with more detail with all of our coordinators presenting on August 27th at 5:30 in the evening, and I invite you to that. I know there's some conflicts with some other webinars going on with Back to School Night, but we will record this, and it's an opportunity to go more in depth with all these activities. So thank you again, and again from the co-curricular side, we look forward to a unique but great year, and we'll continue to be tigers and show the great community spirit through our co-curriculars.
Thanks, Rick. Next up is our Director of Admissions, Olva Kovac.
Thank you so much, Dr. Torres. My name is Ylva Kovac. I'm the Director of Admissions, and this is my 3rd year here at AES. Thank you so much, Board of Governors. I also want to thank all of our community members, because admissions is a team effort, and every community member is part of that team. So what are the lessons learned in admissions during this difficult time? Well, we found out really quickly that we have to be very agile. So agility is everything. What worked yesterday doesn't necessarily work today. And above all, well-being and transition care continues to be our top priority. Next slide. So a little bit of history. Over the past 5 years, there was a decline in enrollment each school year by about 5%. From 2018 until end of last school year, our numbers have been, in fact, status quo. If COVID didn't hit us, we would have seen an upward trend. Next slide, please. Numbers continue to be fluid, but as of August 16, we have 970 students enrolled for the first semester, and in the second semester, 1,019 students. And while comparing last August 2019 with this year's August 2020 enrollment situation, looking at our full-time paying students, we've so far seen a 12% decrease in enrollment. Next slide. The trend continues to be positive with regards to our re-enrollment and re-enrolled students with fewer withdrawals. We actually believe that this is thanks to our strong community and commitment to outstanding learning. Our flexible options were created for families to support them during these extraordinary times. So we had several options like leave of absence. They could actually come then second semester, do their schooling in their local home country for the first semester. We have something called the DNA, which is do not assess, where families want to have a flexible options of staying connected with AES, but yet do the local home option. And then also we have a fantastic finance team who will talk a little bit more about the grantee and aid, but has also helped a lot of families during these difficult times. We also changed our admissions policy to update it so it's better reflecting our school's mission and culture of belonging. Next slide, thank you. And engagement opportunities. Very quickly, we learned the importance of staying connected with our community, especially over the summer. Communication is key. There's always an issue with under or over communication. But right now, we know that there's no such thing as over communicating. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak briefly about the enrollment situation. Thank you.
Turn on my microphone. Thank you. I'd want to turn this over to our Deputy Director and colleague of mine, Dr. Nada Collins. She's going to talk to you a little bit about summer projects and what's been going on campus. Or is it going to be Stuart? Or is it Stuart and Nada, maybe?
Yeah, I'll introduce Andy, and then I'll turn it over to Stuart. My name is Dr. Nada Collins, and I am the Deputy Director, entering my 5th year here at AES. And this is actually my first Indian summer, so I had a chance to watch the work of our facilities team personally, and be able to kind of be a part of the projects that we completed. I think you'll find some of the photos that Stuart's going to talk us through and introduce really exciting. Yeah, so I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you, Nada. Yes, it's been a very, very busy summer for all sorts of reasons, as have been mentioned previously, but life goes on, and the facilities management team has continued to push ahead with some of the projects that they had planned for this summer. There was 13 major projects that were carried out over the summer break, mostly around using our spaces more effectively, building new and flexible spaces for better learning for our students, improving air quality, and then of course lots of measures that we've already discussed some of those, but the anti-COVID measures to kind of make our campus a safe place to come back to. Alongside that, there's the usual busyness with preventative maintenance, so electricity work, plumbing work, touching up the paintwork around the campus, that kind of thing. And it's been a busy time getting our new faculty into their apartments, finding those apartments, making them fit for habitation, and moving some teachers around from place to place. So yeah, it's really been a very busy time for Sarabjit, who's our facilities manager, and her great team that she has underneath her supporting her. So a big thank you to all those guys on that team. One of the major projects we did over the summer was the pool. Now, there was two main reasons for this project needing to be done over the summer. There was some structural issues that we have in the pool. Some of you may know that underneath the pool sits our plant room, which contains our air conditioning units, generators, air purification systems, our water purification systems. So it's kind of a high risk area, and it's not an area that we would want the pool to fall on top of. So there was some urgent work that needed to be done to kind of remedy some of the structural issues that we had there. But it was also a great opportunity to work with Rick and his athletics team to make sure that the pool was renovated in a way that brought it up to standards that some of our competitors have. So it was kind of killing two birds with one stone. I'll show you some photographs in a minute, but we've had a new floor. Oh, these are old photos. This was some of the work that's going on. So we've had new floors, a new touchpad scoring system, new underwater lighting and speaker systems. We've had new showers put in place. The whole of the decking area is going to be resurfaced. It's currently resurfaced with a temporary floor while we await the new floor to come in from Japan, which should be arriving probably in about a month's time. So we're hoping to fit that in November. So yeah, I'll go through some of the photos now, just so you can see how busy the guys have been. So the first photo there is some of the structural work that had to take place underneath the pool to shore up everything. It doesn't look very nice. It's quite a messy photo, but there was a lot of work that went underneath the pool and behind the scenes that you won't notice, and nor should you. And the photo to the right, you can see we've had to totally drain the pool, take up all the flooring, make the whole area watertight, put in new electrical systems. So yeah, very big job. But now it looks like this. So the pool is all finished, full of water, no leaks, new floor on there, new sound system in there, new scoring system. So I'm hoping Rick and his team are going to be very happy with what Sarabjit and her facilities team have managed to produce. So that was the pool, big 10-week project that's been going on. The other projects that we've done in the elementary school, so we've upgraded the pre-K and grade 2 pods, making that a much more flexible space with movable walls, different places and areas for the kids to sit in, and more kind of you know, there's tree houses, there's little cubbies, there's, you know, it's a much nicer environment for them to learn and to just be more flexible and individual in that space. Pre-K cafeteria as well, and new playground for the elementary school. So that equipment's gone in. So I'll just show you a few photos. This one is the grade 2 pod. Obviously we need to get the furniture in there, but that's pretty much complete now. And few finishing touches in the next few days, but that's good to go. The next slide will show the pre-K. So as you can see, we've got, it's a lovely space here. We've got this contoured flooring. Again, we've got flexible spaces where they can sit. We've got this wishing tree, which hasn't been tested yet, so I'm not sure if they come true, but when the kids come in, hopefully we'll find out. And that's just about ready to go as well. And then here we have the cafeteria and the new play equipment that's going in. So that new play equipment was just gone in today. That's a photo hot off the press. So there's still a little bit of work to do there, but it'll be just a few days away. So other projects, high school. Now, high school projects has been big on the agenda for the last few years. We've got, some of you I'm sure already know, that the roof on the high school, it's kind of an open atrium, which is not great, particularly on bad air days. But we are bound by some planning restrictions, which has kind of tied our hands in terms of sealing that roof off and capping the high school. So the solution we've come up with was to put a retractable roof on there, which is fully sealable during bad air days, which will vastly improve the air quality within the high school. Also lets a ton of light in there. And as I say, you know, good air days, we can open it and increase the airflow. So that's due to be completed mid-October, so before the pollution season starts. Also within the high school, a slightly smaller project, it was a pilot project, which was to put some large windows within the high school classrooms. This lets more light in, but also from a child welfare point of view, it allows us to observe children, you know, as they're learning inside the classroom. So here a photo, you can see the current roof, a bit of a mess right now. And the photograph to the right is just an example of the kind of roof that will be going on there. So as you can see, there's push of a button and that will retract and allow all the air to come in or not. And next photo, you can just see the large kind of window walls that we've been putting into the high school. And we're planning on, you know, if it's deemed a success, that we'll roll that out to the other classrooms and the other levels within the high school. Okay. So they were the main projects, but of course COVID came along and added to our list of things that we need to do. So as we've said, we'll detail more about the measures that we're putting in place over the coming week or so. But from an FMO point of view, they've been busy building isolation rooms, adding perspex screens to desks and reception areas. They've been working on signage, one-way systems, touchless systems for trash cans, bottle fillers, touchless taps in all our bathroom facilities, and putting up tons of hand sanitization stations around the campus. So it's really been a busy time for them. So that is the facilities part of the presentation done. I just want to touch briefly on the financials. So we did the budget originally at the beginning of the year. Now, that was obviously before anyone knew anything about COVID. And at that point, we did plan for a deficit for this school year of just over $1 million. But clearly a lot has changed since that budget was signed off by the board at the beginning of this year. So those numbers are going to change, and we're still working out exactly what this might look like. But there has been some positive impacts in terms of making inroads into our deficits. So the roughly 50-50 of our costs are in dollars or in rupees, and the weakening of the rupee has actually helped with some of our deficit issues that we've got. And also we did a very big exercise with our department heads, looking at areas where we could save costs and make ourselves more efficient, which has also helped to cut our deficit somewhat. However, COVID and the pandemic is going to provide some pretty stern challenges to the school's finances this year. And not only to the schools, but also to our community and our families, which is one of the reasons, as Ilva mentioned before, we rolled out a very large grant and aid program this year to help our self-paying families. So this was a one-time award given out to quite a large number of our families to help them remain with us at AES. Also, some of the COVID measures that have been put in place that I've mentioned are adding to our costs. We're looking at air filtration systems, which aren't cheap. Lots of other the physical measures that we've talked about as well. It's all adding to our bottom line. So we've looked at two different scenarios. Well, we've looked at many more than two, but the two that we're going with, and we think we'll probably land somewhere in between these, is obviously enrollment hits our numbers as well significantly. So we looked at an enrollment scenario where we'd have 900 students at the beginning of August and another 50 joining us in January. And a second scenario of 850 students in August, again with another 50 joining in January. Now this first scenario of 900 to 950 will give us a deficit somewhere in the region of $2.2 million. And that second scenario, with a slightly lower enrollment, puts us up to a deficit of nearly $4 million this year. Now, obviously these numbers are moving all the time, and we won't know exactly where we land on tuition until we've got all the tuition invoices paid. So if I could just say, please, if you haven't paid your tuition invoice yet, if you could do so as soon as possible, that would be great. And we don't know the true cost of some of the COVID measures that we're having to take as well. They could make this number go even further up. But we're working very hard to manage the numbers, and we will have a much tighter budget that we can share with the community at our fall meeting. So that's when I will be able to give you a fully watertight set of numbers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. That concludes our director's report. I want to reiterate as I turn this back over to Courtney. We are a team of people that I work with, this amazing team that you just were introduced to this evening. Intent on engaging with you. We are partners in your children's education. And I hope that you are taking the opportunity to engage with the middle school this past week, and our high school and elementary school back to school nights are happening here very soon. We will continue to communicate in the online environment until we don't have to anymore. And probably will continue to do that even after we don't have to, because we're finding that we get a lot of participation and interested people, and I hope it's convenient for parents. It's my hope that we continue to enhance our community through technology. But again, we are all intent and anxious to get everyone back on our campus and enjoying our amazing facilities, but also pulling together that vibrancy that I enjoyed when I was here visiting and interviewing back in 2019, which seems like a very, very distant past. Thank you so much for listening this evening and giving us your attention. In closing, I'm going to turn this back over to Courtney.
Thank you, Andy, and to everyone who presented this evening. We really wanted to use this first community meeting to share with you all the work that's been done, all the thinking that's been going on, and really show again the collaboration that's happening at the school between governance and leadership to make sure that we can get back on campus as soon as possible. I know that that's a burning question in everyone's mind, and we don't have that answer for you tonight. But I want you to rest assured that we are going to, as Andy said, do everything we can to reopen facilities and campus learning as soon as we can, as safely as we can. We really can't do it before we feel comfortable that we can ensure safety as much as we can. We can't eliminate risk completely, but we want to get to that point where we feel comfortable with reopening our campus for all of our students and teachers, and everyone else who works there. So thank you for joining us tonight. We went a little bit over, but we had a lot of information to impart. Our next community meeting will be Thursday, September 24th, and we will have more information for you that evening again. So thank you to all board members. Thank you to Andy and the entire leadership team, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Is that it? Or are we staying on?